Hi everyone. I am here today because I really want to talk about a reel that I posted recently, which talked about differences, and a lot of you actually liked it. And the reason I wanted to start with that is because I have been very much intentionally taking the time to really explore why differences are a good thing and why differences actually are the doorway for connection. And even though that might seem like, okay, how is that going to be? Because typically our differences create more distance. Today, if you want to learn more about how to do that and how to really step into differences and use it as a strength, I really encourage you to stay until the end. So let's start with the part of when we encounter differences with other people, we're typically being either triggered in some kind of way. We feel like this visceral reaction inside ourselves that sometimes really does activate our defense mechanisms. And that is very natural and that's normal, right? Because when we step into something that's different, what our body says is like, okay, wait a minute, this doesn't feel good within me. This is actually challenging me. And let me just protect myself. But the problem with that is that when we do that consistently, we are really taking away from our experience to grow and to really step more into ourselves. So, how does that look like? Well, if we start seeing differences as a mirror of our own, we can start taking the steps to really taking more the word that I really want to use is like sovereignty into who we are. Why? Because you are being presented with this space to say, okay, how much of this is something that I really align or do not align with, but how can I also be more assertive and feel more conviction into my own beliefs, own views, and own sense of self? And this doesn't mean that it has to be to prove a point. It is more to come to a place of understanding. And a recent experience that I actually had, it's with a friend that I love her to death, but she's always presenting me with different ideas, concepts. This is about spirituality, it could be about breath work that sometimes really make me feel uncomfortable because it is not the typical and common things that I engage with. And initially there's a reaction from me. There's a reaction of like, okay, wait a minute, do I really want to step into this space or do I just want to take a step back and ignore it completely? But when I give myself the chance to learn about it, when I really give myself the chance to be curious about what's being presented, I have noticed how much expansion it really creates within me and it creates within my mind and my own personal experience. And that is how differences begin to evolve our sense of self. This is important to hold because when we think about this idea of self expansion, self expansion means that we have the capacity to grow with new experiences that are different from what we are and how we show up in a specific time. But it also brings in a lot more joy and it brings in a lot more connectedness because when we're living in a day in, day out pattern and type of routine, what happens is that we're really kind of stuck in a loop, which is natural. Routines is what we do, but we're repeating same emotions, same behaviors, same sensations, same thoughts, right? So there's not a lot of like growth. That is why when you step out of that, growth happens, even if it is to really just come to a place of more confidence and more assertiveness into your beliefs. And the reason why I'm such a big proponent of this too is because even when I think about my own professional experience as a psychologist, let me tell you this. how I came to my purpose and to work with the population of perinatal women and women's health was not because I was just like, oh, that's exactly what I want, I am going there. It came to be by me opening up to a new experience. I still remember the day when I was talking to my clinical director and he was like, hey, Sarah, I have this opportunity for you right now. It is a birthing center and we need you there. And I was like, okay, I guess my expertise and background in trauma can really help in that population. And when I got there, what I saw, what I experienced really blew my mind. I fell in love with the work and I fell into my purpose. I fell into a whole new experience where even though before I have heard what was a doula and what the birthing plans and things like that looked like, it was very much like from a distance. But when I gave myself the opportunity to step into this new experience, it changed. I became a doula. I never thought in a million years I was going to be the person who was going to be accompanying women through their birth experiences. And when I say that, I mean that I have been in the hospital with women while they're giving birth, and it's an amazing experience. So this is to say that when I focus on that sense of like self-expansion and seeing it like within that theory of growth, I was able to learn more things about myself. I was able to tap into other strengths about myself. And that doesn't mean that every time it has to be from this perspective of like, you're just going to love what you're doing or even the things or the people that you're with. But it's really more about giving yourself the opportunity to try and to explore. Because there were a lot of other settings that I participated in on with the belief that that's where I was going to land. And it didn't. But it was okay because at the end of the day, all those experiences nourish my experience, nourish my sense of self and my professional identity as well. And to this day, I cannot even see myself as the person and the professional that I am without those experiences that I really took the risk to step out of my comfort zone and try something new. And that is why I really vividly and like vehemently say, do it. Do not stay within your comfort zone. Because another aspect that I want to bring is that if we think about it a little bit more from like the Bowen's theory of like family systems, even though he talks about it from a family nucleus and perspective, I want us to see like his basic concept of differentiation. And differentiation is actually the capacity that we all carry to be able to be within one another, even when we are different, when we hold different beliefs, different practices, different ideas. And that's what sometimes we do in our families. But when we do that differentiation in a way that is healthy, that is really what it means to have emotional maturity. Meaning I don't need to convince my family members. I don't need to convince my friends to believe or have the same goals that I have. It just means that I'm able to hold that different space and still honor myself and them as well. And this is important because differences as a mean to connect, it is also a way that intimacy can be strengthened. And research already proves that when we think about it from a couple's perspective, couples that are able to support their goals even when they're different, they're actually report like a higher sense of connection and a higher sense of intimacy. So it is not about aligning with the same visions or the same desires. Yes, there's values that have to be shared as a couple. Yes, there has to be good communication as a couple. But if we think about it from the perspective of having different goals and each of those people support one another, even if we think about it within our friendships, what happens? We feel more connected. We feel that sense of belonging. And that is why it is crucial to not take differences as a means and a way to immediately go into avoidance. And this is why I want you to question, what is the cost that is actually creating in your life when you avoid everything that is different? Because there is a cost, and the cost is missing opportunities, a sense of belonging, and just being able to expand your sense of self. So for today, what I really want you to take away is, how are you taking steps to avoid experiences that could be beneficial, and what can you do, even if it's like something small, something micro that moves the needle a little bit, and to also reflect on how are you engaging with other people that are different, and what can you do to still hold a place for connection without having to feel that you need to connect within sameness. I really hope you like this topic. If you have questions, please leave a comment below. I will respond to you within the 24 hours. And I just hope to hear more from all of you. Thank you for joining me today.